Alright, so we're going to be doing the textures in this video. So I've gone through most of the other bits of this stuff. So we're going to take a check out here. So what's the idea? Well, these are supposed to have some sort of sand or similar type thing inside the thing already, inside the paint. And so what's the idea? Well, rather than having to put on sand and then paint it later, you can do that all in one go. Something else I've done is colored my sand in the past, and that was just the old GW sand that used to come with different sizes, colored with coffee and espresso, and then let dry. So I've experimented with that. I've also experimented with Liquitex gel medium with resin sand in it. You get that at the like a craft store. So we're going to see how this goes. So the idea here would be that you put this on as you're painting the model. And so I'm going to try some of this Listerine undergrowth and see what it's like. So it comes out kind of like a paste. It's a bit more fluid than than the dries, but it's probably similar to liquid green stuff in consistency. And so I'm just going to try to dab that on the base here. And I can see that this is, it's going to be, while it may save me some time in the areas, it isn't necessarily the most time efficient. And also, because I want to avoid getting stuff on the his feet, because I've probably already painted those at this point. So I'm going to try to spread this out a bit, get sand texture on everything. And of course I'm using an old brush for this. So it seems like it's got fine sand in there. Could you mix this stuff up yourself? Probably could. Maybe with some thicker paint, which is harder sometimes to get. So at the craft store, like for me it's Michael's Craft Store, because they have coupons. You can get stuff quite deeply discounted with those, although everything's overpriced to begin with, so ends up being about normal price. You can get various artist mediums, so it's like a gel, so it's really thick goopy paint, and you can add your own color or you can paint it later, and that'll give you a similar effect as this. So there's a kind of a thin layer on that, and let's try another color. Let's try, what's this, Black Fire Earth. That's a nice reddish brown. And so the idea here is that once this is on, I can do a wash and a dry brush, and the model is ready to go. So I'm going to say off the bat that this probably isn't that efficient for doing a whole army. I don't know how much coverage I would get with a pot of this, but I imagine I would need more than one for a good sized army. And it is rather time consuming, because you got to make sure you don't paint on the feet, which obviously you have to do if you're using sand and PVA glue or white glue. But at least with that, you can put the sand down before you paint the model, before you even undercoat it, and then you can hit it with the black spray or brown spray, whatever color you're spraying things with. Sorry, you probably can't see that. So now I do have to take a bit of extra care here, so it's a little bit slower on this step, but I can understand that if I was doing sand and painting that and having to try to get in all the cracks of the sand, and I was doing a regiment, that would take a long time too. So I don't know that the net result would be a lot of time saving, but here's what it looks like. So I'm going to let this dry. It's probably going to take a while to dry, and we'll come back and check it out. But first impressions are it's not super fast to use, which is one of the reasons why you would use it. And so I've already used a little hunk out of there, so I don't know how much you would get out of a pot for your army, but hey, maybe if you had Grey Knights and you only had 20 guys in the field, then this would be fine. But for orcs, when I can have 150 guys, it's just not, probably not going to be time efficient, and we'll have to see what the results look like, and we'll come back and take a look at that. Alright, welcome back to another one, or the other half of this one. So we're doing the base here. What do we got done? We have that all dry now, and according to the guide, Terminus Stone, actually wrong one, this guy here, this is the, which one is that? Okay, so we got the Blackfire Earth, and we're going to do Terminus Stone to go along with it. So let's get a bit of that dry compound on there, don't want too much. And let's see how that, now this brush here, I had washed it and tried to dry it off with a paper towel, but let's see how this goes on. So you can see, actually this turned out quite well, I would say. Just trying to watch out for the feet there. I don't want to have to touch that up too much. So I probably got a little bit too much paint there in the middle. But there's what that looks like. Now I can give that a wash or something else. But basically it's the same as putting a very, very thin layer of sand on there. And actually, so what's the benefit of this? One of the benefits would be that because it's so thin, it doesn't make the guy look like he's sinking in that, which I often have problem with the other GW sand, just because it's so deep. But yeah, it's a nice shortcut, sort of. Does it save me much time? It's really hard to say. I don't know that for sure. But it does work the way it says it will. And you just have to be a bit careful putting it around the feet so you don't get the paint everywhere. And then of course you could add some of the tufts on there, or some static grass. Now the other one I need to get Underhive Ash is going to go with this green here, so that's kind of a greenish color, and I've already used that. So that's the same dry compound that I used for the orc flesh. So it's a light green, and just brush that on there. So I guess I'm not sure when I would want to have a green base per se, because if I did that I would probably want static grass, but maybe I'd add patch of grass on that as well, so it looks like it's kind of like a greenish thing, and I can add some washes to that to give it a bit better look. Now in the middle there, you might not be able to see it in the video, I'm not sure. You can still see part of the slot, so I needed to put a bit more of that stuff on. Maybe 2 layers of this would have helped, or just putting it on thicker. The other thing I noticed when I was letting this dry was there's a thick spot right in the middle here. It took longer to dry, but everything else dried actually quicker than I expected it to. And the same thing here, there's a bit of a thick spot in the middle. It took a little bit longer to dry, but overall it dried pretty quick. So if this was the extent that I wanted to finish these, then that would be probably less time than the way I usually do it. What I often do, here's an example. So here's the GW 25th anniversary guy. Got videos of that if you want to check those out. But so what I did here is I put sand on with super glue. So I use extra thin super glue, put a very thin layer on it, dip them into my sand bucket, shake it off, and the super glue just kind of absorbs up into everything. And then I have to paint that, let that fully dry, of course, because I don't want super glue on my brush. Paint it a dark color and then kind of dry brush it the lighter color. So that's another way of doing this. Takes a bit more time maybe, but maybe a bit better result. Whereas this here, that looks quite decent for tabletop level. Maybe if I gave it a wash or something, it would look a bit better. Add a little bit of grass or something, and it's all done. So these here, they work, I guess, as they say. Is it going to be very effective for large armies and all that? I think you might end up spending a lot of time trying to get around the guy's feet, but I guess it all depends on what army you're doing and how fast you need to get it done. But in terms of getting things tabletop ready, I think it seems like a good product. I've tried to do something like this on my own. I've mixed my own sort of a texture thing. This is the resin sand. It's a much coarser sand than this here. Mixed the resin sand with some paint, and so that's the stuff from the craft store. and it's a really difficult to get on the base. And I thought that this would be the same, but this actually goes on a lot easier because the sand is very fine. So you can get fine sand sort of things at the craft store, art store I should really call it. Michael's happens to have it. They have an art section. So that's another alternative. I think Vallejo also makes a basing material like this, comes in a much bigger tub for a little bit more money, so you save money in the long run. But the best thing about GW stuff is you can get it anywhere, and it's very easy to find, and it's always in stock. So for that reason, GW stuff often is what people have. But it does work, it works well, and I would say it gets you tabletop ready fairly quickly. So let me know what you think about this review. If you have any differing opinions, you can share them below, and check out my other videos. See you next time.